Are you frustrated about your sales performance? Do you have the right people on your team? Are you stuck at a routine in terms of business development? Sandler Training is a global leader in sales and business development training and has been creating solutions and accelerating the success of high achievers for over 30 years. If it's time to take your business to the next level, contact Sandler Training at 801-639-0488. 801-639-0488. Is your business struggling with the cost of an employer-sponsored health insurance plan? Learn how your business and employees may benefit from new rules under the Affordable Care Act. There's no reason for you to continue bearing this unnecessary cost. Call the experts at Summit Risk Management and Insurance, 801-671-2431. That's 801-671-2431. Learn more at www.summit-risk.com. That's summit-risk.com.
If your business doesn't have social and mobile marketing strategies in today's digital marketing place, then you're quickly getting left behind. Don't get left behind, get Social 5. Social 5's team of professional writers, graphic artists, and tech experts helps businesses with mobile, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, email, SEO, campaigns, contests, plus more. For a free consultation, go to social5.com. Don't be invisible in today's digital marketplace. Get Social 5.
Why is understanding your wealth and managing it important to you? Because you have worked hard to get where you are and you have goals for your future and maintaining your standard of living. At Foresight Wealth Management, we care about providing our clients with impartial advice and solutions that work with their goals in mind. Securities offered through Securities Service Network Incorporated, investment advisory services offered through Foresight Wealth Management. For more information, call 801-462-2200 or visit at www.foresightmanagement.com.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
Good morning, Utah small business owners. Welcome to the Small Business Hour with your hosts, Mark Hunter and Chris Brown. It's time for your business to go from small to large.
Good morning, Utah small business owners. This is Chris Brown here with my good friend Mark Hunter for the Utah Small Business Hour here on K-Talk. And as always, our objective is to help support, promote, and educate small business owners on a whole variety of topics that are meaningful and valuable to their business. And we do that through our show and on our website and through our workshops, a lot of different ways that we accomplish that. And as always, we're really excited to have some great sponsors, and Mark's going to tell us about this week's sponsors.
Yeah, so first time we've had ConnectShare, ConnectShare.com, and it's an awesome way. We're actually involved with this group. A great way to learn how to connect with other businesses. And
amazing events that they put on. They're really impressive.
Yeah. And so that's a part of business, connecting, networking. Mm-hmm. And then also Client Tether, which we've had them on before. They have a client relationship management system that's very unique and helps businesses manage their customers as well as their prospective customers and do it in a unique way where they do phone calling and so
and
forth.
The full interview with Conrad Kolba, the founder of Client Tether, is actually going to be on October 29th. So you can learn a little bit more about their product.
Right. So
really cool.
ClientTether.com.
All right. And as always, we really appreciate our sponsors. The show wouldn't be possible without them, and they provide a lot of really great, valuable content that any business owner can benefit from. Okay. So for today's interview, we've got Rich Nelson with the Utah Technology Counsel, and we're really happy to have you here, Rich. And just to learn all about what your organization does, but also I wanted to talk a little bit about technology in Utah, because we often hear that, Utah is sort of becoming the second Silicon Valley, particularly related to Utah County, and technology's become a big sector in our local economy here. So before we get into what your organization does, could we just talk a little bit generally about technology in Utah and where it fits in the overall economy?
Absolutely. There are 5,000 tech companies in the state. They've grown at 6.3% year over year. the amount of payroll that they represent with those 70,000 jobs is nearly 10% of the total payroll in the state.
So substantially more than you would expect for any other group of 70,000 people
Absolutely.
in our state. Okay.
These are the highest paying jobs in the state as
Okay.
a large group.
As a large group. And you said 6.3% year-over-year growth. How long has that been the case?
For a number of years, we've been growing. We've been growing and thriving, especially because we've hit a critical mass.
Okay.
It took us a while to get there. Things have gone extremely well.
And that's one thing that I've noticed when I talk to business owners or managers at tech companies is that they say one of the reasons it's good to be here is because of all the other tech companies. They do sort of seem to feed each other in a lot of ways.
And that's really the genius behind Silicon Slopes. Josh James, the CEO of Omniture, huge success that was sold to Adobe, and now he's running Domo. He has long felt that he can't recruit. Let me say it a different way. He can recruit more executives here if there are other opportunities if it doesn't work out.
Sure.
So he's the driver behind Silicon Slopes. I'm on that board. We celebrate other innovative ways to attract talent, especially technical talent and C-level talent, to continue to fuel the growth of these companies.
Sure, and that's a huge thing, and that's something that companies don't always want to think about when they're hiring someone is what are their other options if it doesn't work out. But I mean, that definitely is a factor when someone's deciding whether or not they want to move their whole family to another state.
Well, it's this genius of Josh seeing the rest of the country from the New Yorker standpoint. He's basically adapted that to Utah and showing the critical mass and the dynamics of the companies we've got here.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about UTC, how you got started, what you do. I've heard the term that you're an innovation community. Tell me a little bit about how all of this came about.
Okay. The governor many years ago, over 20 years ago, decided that our economy really wasn't growing. We didn't have ups and we really didn't have downs, so he got 4 different groups together around 4 sectors of the economy. One happened to be IT. They thought about it, they worked on it for 2 years, came back to Governor Bangerter and said, we really ought to, this shouldn't be part of government, this ought to be an independent, market-driven, industry-funded trade association for the IT sector. Back in those days, there were about there were probably about 1,000 companies. I know that when I took over in 1999, there were about 1,600 companies versus the 5,000 that we serve now.
Okay. And so it was sort of an outgrowth of an effort by government, became an independent organization, which definitely some benefits there, because anytime you're in government, you're very constrained, I think, in what you can do. There's about 1,000 companies now that are in.
There were originally when we started. Now we service a community of over 5,000 tech companies. That's where you get the 70,000 jobs.
Okay, but there's about 1,000 that are members of the UTC.
There are 420.
Oh, 420 member companies. Okay.
In UTC.
All right. So those member companies who join UTC, obviously they do it for a reason. What are the things that UTC does that benefits not just the member companies, but I imagine all of us in one way or another?
No, these 5,000 companies, just to give you some perspective, are the growth engine of the state. And then within UTC, instead of running it like a trade association or a chamber of commerce frequently you are run, they have these large influential boards. I started with 48 board members. And frankly, they're well-intended, but they pull you in a lot of directions. And as a privately funded nonprofit, you end up never having enough bandwidth to matter in a number of areas. So we, after running it, frankly, for the wrong way for the first 2 or 3 years, I decided to start over. And we went to a format of industry. What are your 3 most pressing issues? We will matter in all 3 of those.
Okay.
and be clear what they are, because we're going to work very diligently on that. And what that has done is it's really given us the focus, the buy-in, the engagement of the main leaders in the industry. And back in 2002, when we came up with this, it was early stage capital. That was their number one issue off the chart.
Okay, so
And
how do we get money to get started, to really get moving?
And we were a flyover zone. This is early stage capital. So basically the industry said your number one pressing issue to rebuild UTC around is to change the capital structure of the state. So we went to the legislature and presented this issue with the idea that we needed to create a $100 million fund of funds. This was in the 2003 session.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that session, they had the confidence to approve a $100 million fund of funds.
Mm-hmm.
We took the tax credits, not cash, but tax credits, borrowed against them with Deutsche Bank in London, and had this line of credit. And over the next 10 years, we reached out and attracted well over 200 venture and private equity firms. We invested as a Utah Fund of Funds, separate organization, but my chairman then went on the board for those years and became the chairman, Will
Mm-hmm.
West. And I went on that board, and we invested in 28 funds, which then would look at deal flow, not just tech,
Mm-hmm.
not just IT, but high growth company opportunities in Utah. Our
Okay.
bet was there was such a deal flow, so many entrepreneurs here, that once these financial sources discovered Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and these spectacular companies, they would stay here irregardless of whether they got funding from the Utah Fund of Funds or not.
Mm-hmm.
And over 200 never received funds, but they continue to drive funding in this market. You see just a significantly different opportunity to grow and build your company here.
So starting up today as a new venture with some great idea in tech, there's a lot more opportunities to gain funding because of those efforts you made in the first part of 2002, 2003.
Over the last decade, Utah is the most changed state in the country as far as early stage capital.
Okay.
We are a recognized leader in that area.
Which obviously helps attract new businesses, because if there's an environment where they can try, and that's one of the things that always took tech companies out to California, is that's where the VC firms were. Now they have an option somewhere else.
They definitely have discovered Utah. It's an hour and a half flight. There's a very close relationship there. You just continue to see the kind of growth and opportunities. Unless you have capital, you'll never get talent.
Right.
And they're intertwined. It goes the other way too. If you don't have top talent, both from technical standpoint and the executive level, you can't get funding. And so we were able to evolve and break that cycle here.
Mm-hmm.
And you fast forward what we're working on behalf of the industry. Our number one issue now, many years later, 14 years or 12 years later, is talent. We have a serious talent shortage. We literally have thousands of open positions from $70,000 to $170,000 that are going unfilled. In fact, our companies are now exporting those jobs elsewhere.
Right, because they just can't find the folks here to
They're
do it.
opening other offices elsewhere, Minneapolis and in other locations. They're able to get talent more immediately at a better price point than they can here. And that's why we actively are engaged with K through 20 leaders and our government leaders to realign that pipeline.
So let's talk about the education issue. So is the education another one of your three key focus areas?
So because talent shortage is our number one issue, early stage capital would be one of those other three. And the third one that we've built UTC and run it currently from a board standpoint is valuable connections. So those are the three things we're going to matter in. So you go back to your question, Where does education fit? Well, it's all about talent shortage. So if we can't get enough talent out of that K through 20 pipeline,
Right.
which we aren't, we're not coming close. We could do such a better job in the realignment. That's why this week's decision by the State Board of Education may be the most important one in this area, or even for the state for many years to come. They're selecting a new state superintendent of public instruction. We've had input to that. We've tried to recruit candidates. We need to work not just on the K through 12 area, which I can give you some examples of what we're doing very specifically, but also realigning our colleges and universities and the technical talent through our terrific applied technology colleges.
So when we talk about education, we often hear industry talking about the need for more STEM. We've got to have more STEM, more STEM, more STEM. Could you talk more specifically about the types of programs and initiatives that you believe would help fill that talent shortage?
Sure. So we originally became aware of this talent issue that we didn't have enough talent to fuel the growth of these hot companies in 2000, a little before 2006. And since 2006, it's really become our number one issue, as I mentioned earlier. So what did we do? We were pulled into the legislature to work on bills that dealt with education. Initially, they were smaller bills, $5 million for merit pay for teachers. Now they're major comprehensive bills that we've championed. The last two sessions, we're the group that has championed the $30 million STEM Action Center for innovating, helping teachers and students in a digital way.
And I think that one of the keys that sometimes gets missed is a lot of times folks focus on higher education exclusively, but if people aren't prepared to go into those fields once they get to college, you could have all the programs in the world and it's not going to really help if they're not prepared for those college programs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the types of jobs? Because, a lot of times people are, you hear of all these people who went to college, racked up a huge amount of debt, and they've got a degree in English, which is fine, but that's probably not the type of jobs that are really the hot jobs right now. What are the types of jobs that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, that's and really you look at the counselors. We have terrific counselors. We've worked with our counselors and their leaders for the last 5 years. The last 2 years, we've gone into the Counselor Summit. There are 850 middle school and high school counselors. They are so overloaded and so burdened that they don't get around to the career counseling that they really need to be doing. Right. So we have identified very specifically what are the hottest jobs in the state. On at least an annual basis, we release this. I'll just go to the most recent list. Number one, software developers, apps. It's a huge issue. Number two, network and computer system administrators. Number three, hottest job in the state, software developers and system software. You go through the 50, and a high percentage are tech.
Are tech. And so this is what kids need to be hearing relatively young so that when they go into high school, they can take the courses that will prepare them for undergraduate and perhaps graduate education so they can ultimately get those jobs.
That's the message that we're delivering in the schools. How do you excite students around relevant areas? And I'd love to visit with you some more on that.
Yeah, we can catch some more about that after the break, because that's a key thing, is getting kids engaged early enough where they still have the opportunity to kind of make those choices that will help lead them to that ultimate career. So we'll be right back after these messages.
He's just made in America.
As a small business owner, you have questions. Will my cash flow cover expenses? How do I get understandable, actionable reports about my business? What is the best option for raising capital? Clarity CFO is your finance partner that thinks like an entrepreneur. We're all about helping you improve cash flow, meet opportunities with confidence, and grow your business. Visit our website at www.claritycfo.com to receive a free review of your business metrics and to start getting answers to your questions. Cash flow, confidence, growth. Visit claritycfo.com today.
Small business owners and CEOs, where do you turn for objective counsel on your most critical business decisions? How do you assure your personal growth as a CEO? How do you get an unbiased review of your plans and strategic direction? What provisions are you making for perpetuation of your business beyond yourself? For over 20 years, CEO Builder has been the answer to these questions for many Utah CEOs. Join us for a complimentary forum or coaching session through our website at www.ceobuilder.com.
As a small business owner, you are not just building a business, you're building a legacy. Let the attorneys at Callister, Nebaker, and McCullough counsel and assist you as you navigate the legal complexities of organizing, financing, and operating a successful business. At Callister, Nebaker, and McCullough, we build, cultivate, and defend legacies. Your business, your family, your future. To learn more about how we can help, call 801-530-7300 or visit us online at cnmlaw.com. That's cnmlaw.com.
It's tough for small businesses to keep up with all the new regulations, the new healthcare law, employee handbooks, human resources, OSHA safety, employment discrimination and harassment, business insurance, workers' compensation. It is also complicated. Most business owners are doing their best just to make a small profit. If there were only a simplified way to manage all of this, now there is. Summit Risk Management in Insurance can show you how. www.summit-risk.com. That's summit-risk.com.
All right, so we're back with Rich Nelson from the Utah Technology Counsel. And before the break, we were talking about the importance of education within the state, because right now these tech companies are having a hard time filling positions, so they're having to bring people in from other states or open up offices in other states. And we were talking about what we can do here in Utah to kind of feed that pipeline, or whatever, however you want to refer to it. And it has to start pretty young, right? I mean, we can't just do all of this when someone declares a major in the university, right?
Yeah, since we have been involved over the last 7 or 8 years very actively in realigning the expectations, the requirements. In fact, it's very little known. It's little known that UTC was the lead organization, frankly, the only organization in 2006 that went to the school board and said, we can't continue to be in the bottom 5 states in the country in the amount of math that we expect of our students for a high school diploma.
Sure.
Same, bottom 5 for science and bottom 13 for English. If we're going to have this kind of epicenter of technology here,
right.
we got to raise that bar.
Well,
it's fortunately we were able to do that, bring top executives just to talk about that, and the board passed that unanimously after they'd thought about it and deliberated for over 6 years.
So what are the changes that have been made? Where does Utah stand now in those areas?
We're improving. We celebrate as a state that we're at or above the national average. Well, I learned a long time ago from former commissioner of higher education, Rich Kendall, that to aspire to be better than the national average, it should not be our goal, because the national average is pathetic, quote unquote.
Oh, sure, especially compared to some other countries.
And so currently, I don't know, depends on which scale you look, but we're probably in the middle. We're probably 25th in the country.
Okay.
25th or 6th or 7th or even 23rd is not acceptable. Our students, our 625,000 students, need to have greater rigor and greater STEM. Over the last many years, we've worked with the school board and the legislature. It used to be very few people up until 2 or 3 years ago really knew what STEM was.
Sure.
We talked about
And-
stem cell.
Right.
It's
And well,
not stem cell.
And just for our listeners who been using that term, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And these are the areas where there's expected to be high growth over the next several decades. And that's why there's so much focus on that in education now.
Right. We've worked on, we can't get there incrementally at the current level that we're moving, so we have focused on major comprehensive ways, we call them quantum leaps. Changing, this STEM Action Center, I think when you look at it, it's only been in existence for a year and a half. When we look at it in 5 or 10 years from now, to help our teachers in professional development embrace technology so that they can communicate with the kids of today, and also help our students with using and embracing digital tools, irregardless of their economic circumstance, that is a quantum leap. There's some other things that we've actively worked on with the legislature and our governors. One would be online education that came about 3 or 4 years ago. We just felt like high schools should have a greater reach into the impressive online education libraries that are out there.
Sure, because
that was a tough one to pass by the legislature. Why we didn't embrace that, I don't know. That's how kids learn, and it's only an option. But fortunately, that is really taking off and is supplementing their learning in high schools.
And I think that's the thing, is that any particular high school is always going to be constrained on the number of courses and options, and we don't want to hold our students back because they don't have a teacher at that school for whatever it is that they could be learning to do. And I think that's where online plays a big role. One interesting statistic that I've seen a couple times over the past few years is the high percentage of students who go into college and require remedial courses because they graduated from high school, but they weren't prepared for college. So talking about STEM, mathematics is a big part of that, and that's one of the areas where we most often see that issue. Do you see the school system improving that?
It's there's clearly a focus on being at or above an acceptable level very early on between the 4th and the 6th grade. Frankly, the first metric that kids need to hit, if they're going to be on track and have a chance for a good economic future in this global world, is 3rd grade. They've got to be on track with reading literacy by 3rd grade. And if they're not, they're going to be forgotten.
Sure.
They are. Recently, I had an experience through one of our great partners, Junior Achievement. Again, this is one of these quantum leaps. How can we take their 5,000 terrific volunteers, of which I'm one, and instead of going in my convenient with a lot of neighborhood schools, like I've done in Holiday with Cottonwood Elementary, why don't you put me and many others, hundreds of others, into
struggling schools,
inner city schools?
Yeah.
So this year, for the 2nd year, I went into an inner city school. They gave it to me for a day. 3rd graders at Miss Moscosko's class at Mountain View, 1380 South Navajo, which is 14th West. That is an inner city school. Those kids don't have a chance without us. Let me read 3 one-liners that those students, after spending a day in May with them, that they shared. And I think that this ought to be part of our DNA, and that's what UTC is trying to do, is to scale industry involvement to excite students
at
about
the early
STEM.
level.
At the early level. These
Right.
are 3rd graders. This is from Jose P. Thank you for making me learn stuff that I never seen or heard of.
Yeah.
Now that motivates me to do a heck of a lot more for the Jose P's that we've got in our community. Here's another one from Yenny, and I hope Yenny or some of these other kids hear this. Thank you for coming, Richard. What I learned was that if you want to be something, you have to work very hard. This is after we spent a day together. I had a terrific time. Frankly, it was very intimidating. I spent hours with the lesson plans that Junior Achievement gave me, and I also took $25 worth of candy, which was an incentive. It helps a lot. Okay, here's the last one, Mariano. For Richard, thanks for teaching us everything. I don't know if I did that. Because we could invent, ENVENT, something in the future.
Right.
Now, these kids need to be on track, or it's a very tough road after third grade.
Sure.
And so by embracing and getting more industry execs into the classroom, we're now working with Junior Achievement and our public officials. We've invited all 104 legislators. The governor's already accepted to co-teach one of these classes with myself or someone else in the industry, and have a day or a week in May. I'd love to have K-Talk Radio there. I know Doug Wright is planning to be there with his talk show. But we need to bring those influencers that can bring media, such as our public officials, and scale this. Let's tell this story.
And the key is that it has to happen early. If we try and intervene at the high school level when someone's already so far behind, that's why we end up with so many kids in college who are in remediation and sometimes never graduate because they've been behind their whole life. And it's tough to suddenly catch up when you're 18 or 19 years old.
We have, to that point, Senator Urquhart came out with a graduation bill or a proposal, and we're going to look very hard at that. We'll take the 1,000 or more bills and vet those down to about 50 or take those down to about 50. And then of the 50, we'll take about 5 or 6 or 7, and we'll pass those, we'll kill them, or we'll fund them. Senator Urquhart really is very concerned about wasting taxpayers' money with lack of clarity in where we're going. So this is a 4-year graduation bill, and I think his current work on it is you get penalized. It costs you money as a student if you go beyond a reasonable period of time. You can't take 6 or 7 or 8 years for something that could be accomplished in 4 or 4.5. We think that that's a good idea. We're also working with 2 other major areas on putting additional incentives as major bills. We have incentives for companies. Why don't we have a talent incentive bill for this year? Let's just shift this, and if our companies can recruit 5 or 50 or 100 employees, many of our companies have that many openings.
Right.
Let's pass that benefit the state would provide
To the company onto
directly to that employee so that they could move here. If our talent shortage isn't being addressed seriously enough yet, there's movement in the right direction, we've got to go out of state, and we're going to bring talent in until our pipeline cranks it up to a higher level.
Sure, and it's a really complicated issue. I mean, I think that when we talk about education and jobs of the future, the focus so often is on the later parts of education. But like you said, we've got to do it early on. Otherwise, it may be too late.
One thing that you may or may not be aware of is these 850 counselors are the key to that pipeline. Yes,
Right.
their parents matter. Yes, their teachers matter. But their role, ideally, is to give them advice on career development. And so the last 2 years, we've taken 20 CEOs and trustees from our board into that summit for a half a day, and our execs have been very influential in talking about what the hot jobs are for
Right.
those counselors. Now they know, and that's why the 50 hottest jobs list is really important for us to update, get it in their hands. I think we're making some real progress. I think there are some leaps forward, and we greatly value working with the governor and his agency heads and many others, especially the legislature.
Now, what about adults who look at the tech sector and say, hey, that's where the action is. I've been doing whatever for last 10 years, I'd like to switch. Or what opportunities are there for those individuals to kind of cash in on the tech boom in Utah?
You know, they need to reinvent themselves. The LDS Church has done a nice job with their job employment work, and they asked me to put together a high-tech panel. I took 3 top execs down to talk to a group of 40 to 70-year-olds that have been downsized in some of these other sectors of the economy that have struggled, that are more commodity sectors. And one of those executives, quoting him, Jeff, what's Jeff's last name?
No, I don't know Jeff's last name.
Anyway, you know, quoting one of the panelists that I had there, chief of people, used to be at Ancestry. He said to the group, there are 150 openings right now at Ancestry, and I've just moved to another hot company in Structures. This was last spring.
The makers of Canvas, the online learning tool.
We're now at 300. We're young employees. We need to hire 150 employees this year. It's not all about degrees anymore, quote unquote.
Skills.
It's skills, it's certifications, and degrees.
Sure.
And so there are different pathways to that.
And I think that's important, is don't give up on the tech economy just because you don't have an engineering degree. I mean, there's jobs for people with engineering degrees, but there's also jobs for people who took programming classes at the community college and added a new skill. There's lots of opportunities in this sector, and I think it's good for everyone to look at where they might be able to fit in. So any other last just words about UTC and what UTC does before we run out of time?
Yeah, the event of the year is a Hall of Fame, and I know a lot of us say this, but 2 years ago we brought in this #1 CEO in America to help with this celebration. To have Jeff Bezos, the CEO and founder of Amazon, was just a huge compliment to our industry. This year we're bringing in the #1 innovation CEO in America. The last 4 years is recognized by Forbes. Mark Benioff, not as well known, unbelievably dynamic, driving the #1 innovation company in the world. Love to have the industry. I know the industry will turn out, be a sold-out event November 7th, and love to invite your listeners.
Absolutely, just to hear about technology, innovation, and ways that the lessons he's learned can apply to other businesses.
And we'll be honoring 3 stellar former board members, mostly Scott Anderson, Alan Hall, and Kurt Ryrie, all great leaders driving technology forward.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us today, and Rich. And just FYI for our listeners, if you want to learn more about Utah Technology Counsel, the website is utahtech.org, and they can learn about all the initiatives that you guys are involved in and join up if they fall into one of those sectors. So thank you again.
Terrific. Thank you, Chris.
It's time for this week's First Utah Business Spotlight.
Mark Hunter here with Small to Large, and today we're interviewing Harley Griffith, who's the CEO of Queen of Wraps. Thanks for being with us today, Harley.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about, that's quite a unique name, Queen of Wraps. Are you the queen, first of all?
No, I'm not the queen, but my daughter is the queen.
Okay.
So this is a family business,
Okay.
only with a little twist, and that is that my children really started the business.
Okay.
And developed it while my wife and I were out of the country in Africa. And we came home to find this developed company. Then my kids gave me a job. So
Nice.
A little bit of a twist on the family business.
I like it. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Get my kids to start it up. Well, that's good. So tell us what you do. What does Queen of Wraps do for your customers?
Okay, well, we're mostly known for vehicle wraps, and that is advertising or graphics on vehicles. We say that if you own a vehicle, you own a billboard.
Okay.
And so, driving around without the name of your company or something about your service is like having an empty billboard on I-15. You're just,
Sure.
you have free space, you might as well take advantage of it.
Right.
So we do everything from design to print to installation. We do branding, anything to help the small business to promote their business out on the highways and out in the streets. And then that's what we're known for, but we also do all other types of large format printing.
Okay.
So we do signs, banners, trade show displays, custom printed tents, flags, anything that you see outside or inside in at a business.
Trade
window
shows.
graphics, trade shows, anything
Okay.
that you would need like that. We do all of that.
Great. And you were mentioning, what was the number of wraps on vehicles, coming back to the vehicle wrap? How many of those do you do a day generally? Or?
We do about 3 or 4 vehicle wraps every single day.
Okay.
So we by far do more vehicle wraps than anybody here in the state.
Well, I was curious to know what your competition did and how you stacked up against your competition relative to that.
Most, in fact, I don't know of another business that is identified just for vehicle wraps. Usually it's a sign shop, auto body shop that might also do some vehicle wraps.
Okay, so that's kind of your niche, and then you do some of these other
And
things.
then we do other things, yeah. So we sort of invert it. Instead
Right.
of some vehicle wraps and a lot of printing, we do a lot of vehicle wraps and a lot of printing.
So that's maybe what sets you apart and is kind of your unique.
Yes, I think so, because our designers, design vehicle wraps. They know you've got 3 seconds. Who are you? What do you do? And why should I care?
Yeah.
And they know how to get that message and put it on the vehicle.
Well,
so
that
people
same
can see it.
concept would be, I think, very applicable for other than vehicle wraps as far as putting your message across quickly. So,
Yeah.
so a vehicle, it's about as fast as you're going to
About
get.
as fast as
right?
you're going to get.
So
That's right.
So if you can accomplish that with the vehicle, then it sounds like they would have expertise in doing that
That's
in
right.
other areas.
And then installing vehicle wraps is a bit of an art. Not anyone can do it. I can't do it. But if our guys are doing 3, 4 every single day, they get to be very, very good.
Yeah.
It's not just a flat surface.
Sure.
You've got corners and edges and nooks and crannies and things. And if you do it enough, then you get to be good at it. If you do 1 a week, 1 a month, you're not going to be as expert as the person who's doing this all day, every day.
Sure. With the curvature, I would imagine that it has a big impact on how the print's done and how it's laid out.
Well, the design, the printing, and the install, they're all affected by the curvature of the vehicles.
So obviously every car is going to be treated differently.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Good. So what's it been like being a small business owner in Utah?
Well, back during the rough times, 08, 09, wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But since then, it's been wonderful. It seems like the economy has really taken off, and we deal with really the entrepreneurs, the people who say, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to grow a business, I'm going to invest in my business. That's who comes here. So I see all sorts of entrepreneurs who come in and are looking for a way to advertise their business or identify their vehicles. And it's always positive, always upbeat.
That's nice. I was going to ask you, are there any success stories that you can share with us?
There's success stories, like I'll think of Any Hour Plumbing and Heating. They probably started with a dozen vehicles or so, and this was a couple of years ago. I think their fleet has grown to 40, 45 vehicles, and every time they get a new vehicle, they bring it in here and we wrap it up for them.
So obviously that's having an impact for them,
That's having
positively.
Yeah. A lot of companies will put a different phone number on their vehicle wrap than they do on their other advertising.
Oh, so they can track it.
They can track it.
Oh.
I've had companies tell me it's 4 to 1 calls off of their vehicles versus any other form of advertising. But think of the impressions that you have it. And your vehicles are where your business is.
Yeah.
You're parked in somebody's driveway, or you're at a construction site, or you're driving through the city streets, whatever it happens to be.
And is it mostly your customers, are they mostly business to business type businesses or business to consumer? Like the plumber's probably more business to consumer.
I would say mostly business to consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So we have real estate agents, we have insurance agents, we have plumbing, heating.
Probably chiropractors and.
We've had medical practices, yeah. Those things are probably most of what we do.
appreciate you being with us, Harley Griffith with Queen of Wraps. Thanks for being with us today, and good luck with your business.
Hey, thank you very much.
You bet.
There are 5 key questions every successful business owner asks every day. How can we increase innovation? How can we reduce operating costs? How can we grow our sales and market share? How can we create new products and stay cutting edge? And how can we improve our cash flow? By Monday's Howcanology web app answers all of those questions by empowering your employees to become valuable, producing entrepreneurs. Contact by Monday at 801-225-1600 to learn more about Howcanology.
As a small business owner, I have struggled with controlling my workers' compensation costs. Some of my injured workers have really taken advantage of the system, costing me an arm and a leg, no pun intended. I finally found someone who can help, Summit Risk Management and Insurance. They have saved my company thousands of dollars on my insurance costs and have improved my safety program. I recommend them to any business owner. www.summit-risk.com. That's summit-risk.com.
If you own a small business, you've experienced problems with technology. Lost files, server crash, blue screen of death. It always means one thing, an IT nightmare that keeps you from running your business. IT Now keeps those IT nightmares at bay. IT Now is the leading provider of professional IT services for small and medium businesses. Call IT Now today for a free network evaluation, and soon you could be nightmare-free and experience the bliss of things running as they should. 801-562-8778.
Phil, your golf game is amazing. Where do you find the time?
I've been using ADP for my business, the world leader in payroll services. I manage my payroll, retirement plan, and HR all on my iPad, mobile app, or with a quick phone call. It's easy and really affordable.
I'm just so busy. Sounds great. How do I get a quote?
Call Dave at 800-422-3705. He's been with ADP here in Utah for 15 years.
Thanks. That number was 800-422-3705.
Welcome back. Here's our second Utah Business Spotlight for the week.
Mark Hunter here with Small to Large, and today we are visiting with Steve Smith, who's the founder and president of Steve's Automotive Specialists. So Steve, I know you're a family-owned business. Tell us a little bit about your history, how long you've been in business. And
Well, we started in October of 1977 in the Mill Creek area. My boys, of course, were really young at that point, and as they grew, they kind of wanted to get into the shop and learn things. And so 4 of my 5 sons work in the business.
Okay.
And actually 2 of them that are managing the locations at this point. So we've been around in the Salt Lake Valley for a long time.
Sounds like it. And so you've got a couple of shops?
I have 2 shops. I have one in Mill Creek. It's on 28th South and 23rd East.
Okay.
And then one in Sandy. This one here that we're at today.
Right.
It's 9245 South and 700 East in Sandy.
Okay. And tell us what type of auto work do you do?
Well, basically, when I started, I wanted to be a full-service shop, so our customers could come in, they could get everything from their oil service, their state inspections. If they needed an engine repair, a transmission repair, we could do that.
Okay.
Or tires or anything. So that's what we built the business around, and I've built mechanics that can work on all those different areas into the business so that they can take care of our customers' cars. It's a real pain for customers to run all over the valley.
Sure.
To get their car serviced. And so my thoughts were have one place, a place they can trust, and they have everything done.
Right. Well, and I understand that with mechanics there's certain certifications, and expound on that.
There are. ASE is the ones that certify mechanics. We have master technicians. That means they have to have at least 8 certifications with ASE in different areas to become a master technician. We have several master technicians, and all of our technicians are ASE certified.
So what does that mean to one of your customers?
That means that they know what they're doing when they open the hood of your car and look and find out what's going on with it. They understand the car. They're not somebody that puts spark plugs in their car in their driveway, right. which we find a lot. We have a lot of people bring their cars into us that have been other places they couldn't fix them.
So there are other places in town that don't have mechanics that are ASE certified.
Right.
And okay.
Yes.
Good. And then I noticed you have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Yes.
And that you work with Bill Gephardt of Gephardt Approved. So
Yes.
explain a little bit about how that works.
Well, when I started thinking about Bill, the reason that I wanted to go with him is because I value my customers, and sometimes you can have a problem with a customer and not know it until it's too late. And my thoughts were with Bill, he's got the credibility and the guarantee, so the customers, even if they won't come to me, they'll go to him and we can straighten it out.
Sure.
I haven't found it in 37 years of doing this, I haven't found a problem that couldn't be handled with the right combination.
A lot about a communication,
yes,
right?
Yes, and talking to the customer and getting things worked out.
Sure.
Mainly it's something that was misunderstood.
And I am curious to know how difficult it is to be Gephardt Approved. I mean, what's that process?
Well, it's not easy. When I sat down with Bill, he said he's going to run us through the ringer.
Okay.
He's going to check everything, and he checks your background completely. He checks any kind of stories about you. He checks all the online things that have been posted. If there's any skeletons in the closet, he finds them, and he has an investigator that goes through everything.
And so he really scrutinizes that because he doesn't want to put his name on it.
Right. He told me, he said, we're going to do this, and if you come out okay, then we'll certify you, but if not, then we won't.
Then they'll pass.
Yeah.
So you do oil services, engine, transmission rebuilds, tires you mentioned, which is unusual. It seems like an auto repair shop wouldn't necessarily do tires. So.
And the reason, again, that we do that is because we don't want our customers to have to go all over.
Yeah, one-stop shop.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. That's our philosophy.
So the types of vehicles that your technicians are trained on, can you expound on that?
Okay, I have specific technicians that are trained on Asian cars and some that are trained on European and then domestics. So we cover all those areas. They go to training every month to become certified in those automobiles so that they can repair them.
Right.
So that, and the reason that I did that is it's hard for someone to work on all the cars and know everything about it. Some things are similar between car to car,
right.
But a lot of the makes have special things on their car that you need to know about, and that's why we do that.
Right. They all have gas caps, right? Well,
yes.
Of course, you never know. Some of these hybrid type
someone
things.
Will plug.
In fact, talk about the hybrids. Are you able to work on those?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we just finished a 2-day training that our technicians went through to upgrade their skills on hybrids. A lot of things on hybrid cars are just like other cars. They have wheel bearings, they have tires, they have the same kind of things that other cars do. But there are some specialty things that take special equipment. And we have that equipment and we have the training to work on.
Okay, that's good to know. So I know when I take my car in, sometimes it's a pain to, my wife isn't able to come pick me up, or I don't want to have to wait there. I know some places do some loaner vehicles or pickup and delivery. Not very many do that, but do you do anything like that type of service?
We do. We have loaner cars. So if your car, especially if your car is going to take 2 or 3 days to get parts or fixed, we have loaner cars. We don't charge for them. All we ask is you pay for the gas you use, just like you would in your car.
Sure.
And you can use that. We also have a shuttle van at both locations, and we can run you to work, pick you up after, take you home if that's what you need. Whatever you need. I realize that being without a car is a real pain.
Yeah.
And so we've tried to make it as simple as possible for our customers.
Nice. Okay. Good. So how do you have a website?
I do.
Okay.
It's stevesautomotivespecialist.com.
Okay, Steve. Okay, so they can then find out the types of things if they want to learn more.
Yeah, everything's on the website. Some of our programs are there, and special programs we have. We have a preferred customer program for our customers that maintain their cars. Some people fix the car when it's broken, and others maintain them so they won't break.
How does that work?
Well, if you maintain your car, it's been proven that you'll save 50% on your repairs over time.
Okay.
So it's really a great thing. So what we offer is someone that maintains their car and is on that program, they get a 10% discount up to $50 on any repairs that they do on their vehicle.
Okay.
If they're on that program. And it doesn't cost anything to get on there. You just have to make sure that you're maintaining your car.
You're helping them maintain
right,
the vehicle.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, you're a fixture here in 37 years, so that's quite a long time.
It is.
You've stood the test of time. So, well, we appreciate Steve Smith with, again, Steve's Automotive Specialists, and appreciate you being with us on the show today.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, folks. Well, that's our show for today. We had some really cool companies highlighted this week, and we're always excited to provide that service to small businesses located here in Utah. And if you'd be interested in learning more about that, just visit our website at large.com, and you can see business spotlights from past episodes, as well as learn how perhaps your business could be spotlighted. And of course, as always, we really appreciate our special guest this week, Rich from the Utah Technology Counsel. Technology is becoming a huge part of our economy here in Utah. And as Rich mentioned, it accounts for a disproportionate amount of income when you consider the relatively small number of workers who are working in the technology area. So it's a really exciting area of growth, and it's really excited to see an organization like the Utah Technology Counsel really spearheading changes in education and government policy to encourage growth in the future. Well, we're just about out of time, so I want to just wish everybody well, have a great day, and catch us again on the same channel next week for the Utah Small Business Hour. Thanks.